not stimulated, not excited, not pressured, not pushed, not stressed. That is the purpose, the utility of the renunciate life. That's the point of it. And for a reason, it's not just that these are valuable conditions of life in and of themselves, but they allow the practitioner, the renunciate practitioner, to achieve his goal. How else are you going to transcend the mind in such a total way if you are excited and thrilled and agitated and pressured and stressed all the time? And especially given that if you are exposed to these mental states, now they will take a toll on the general functioning of the mind. How long does it take for one to emerge from a state of stress or excitement or thrill, and how long it resonates, even after the environmental or social situation that instigated these emotions and these states of mind is ceased. The impact of these states of mind endures sometimes for a long time, especially if while you are enthralled by them, you're totally unaware of that very situation, oblivious. That's what avidya means. You don't know what's happening to you. That's precisely why these states are so contradictory with progress and transcendence of avidya. They dominate you completely, and they endure in time, that is. It takes time in order for one to calm down again, especially if you don't know how to meditate, which you say you have a problem with. So especially if you have a problem with meditation, then at the very least, the least that you could do is to abide in such a social and physical environment where sources of stimulation, positive or negative, doesn't matter, are reduced, minimized. Otherwise, there is no chance for the mind to calm down and to harness the sufficient sort of attention and focus in order to understand the mind, in order basically to flip the consciousness to look into itself. Now, of course, the absence of these states of excitement and stimulation and so on also has a very unique therapeutic impact, but note that they also don't necessarily feel good at all, their absence, that is, because you are withdrawing from the homeostasis of any normal living creature. The absence of stimulation is a painful thing. It's not something that anyone wants to do by nature. It's something that you do exactly in opposition to nature. Desire for self-stimulation is the mother of all desires, you could say. And so it is not easy. It's not that we are forced to expose ourselves to sources of stimulation. It's actually fairly easy to withdraw. Withdrawal is far more easier than engagement. And it's safer and it's calmer. You're just minding your own business, basically. People stop noticing that you exist at all. So you can do it if you want. And it's up to you. And then actually this may be also an opportunity to facilitate meditation as well. Because if the mind is in a state of continual excitement or stimulation, it's harder for samadhi to arise in meditation. It takes longer, and the longer you have to sit, the more difficult the experience is. Except only if you're able to enjoy the transition from excitement and thrill towards calm. That transition is to some people is incredibly pleasurable, and is among the main factors which facilitate the practice of meditation. It feels good, it's enjoyable, it's pleasurable, so you will always want to do it. But what also feels good are stimulation, excitement, thrill, etc. Even fear. People watch horror movies because they are thrilling, exciting, in a fearful way, but still, that's what nature wants. That's what Mara wants, is that you're continuously stimulated by sensorial experiences. That's how it ensures that you're going to remain within samsara. So you see that this is not just a preference, a mere temperamental preference. I like to live in isolation or in seclusion and so on. It has a purpose. It has it's used for something. It's pragmatic. It's teleological. It's not just a preference. And in fact, I couldn't really figure out how one makes substantial progress along the path of practice without protracted. You don't have to stay continuously in seclusion, but you need to spend a lot of time, as much continuously as possible, in seclusion. And the more rigorous it is and the more sustained it is, the better. And you try it and you will see for yourself. To the extent that even if you neglect the practice completely while you live in seclusion, you're still making progress and you don't even know how. And if you're careful, if you observe yourself carefully, you'll see that elements of Dhamma arise in your mind so much more frequently when you live in seclusion and involuntarily than when you're engaged in the world. Especially when you go into seclusion, you really live in seclusion, like you really, you stop following news and chatting friends and things like that. That's a huge difference. It's not just being physically alone, it's also being mentally alone. Mm-hmm. You will see, just do it, and you don't have to do it for 10 years or 10 months, just for 10 days. And compare your mental state before you enter in seclusion and after. This is a very good way to start, by the way, for people who either have practical difficulty in living alone and finding a place and things like that, or time as well, or for people who are afraid of seclusion. In both cases, you could start doing it for a short time. 3 days, then 6 days, then 10 days, as much as circumstance allows. It doesn't need to be a shift that you're going to willfully make now in your lifestyle. Start gradually, but do it earnestly. You could start with 1 day, 2 days, And then don't take my word for it. Just observe, compare. That's how I was before I enter into seclusion, and that's where my mental state is right now that I'm coming out of it, regardless of the duration that extends in between. And then you'll see that this thing that we call Viveka or seclusion is there for a reason. It has a purpose to it, and it is really quite important, very, very important, if not necessary.